I'm here with Ken Nelson, my friend from Panasonic, and we just finished the Panasonic OASYS concept home here in Houston. And this is a totally new type of HVAC design using some kind of common technology with some products that people are already familiar with. But it's using those products in kind of a different way, right?
Right.
And so I wanted you to explain to us kind of what makes OASYS different than a traditional HVAC system.
So typically in typical AC system, basically what you're doing is you're cooling air, pushing it out to a space, and allowing it to rotate back. And while that's not so far from what we do, we're actually taking a room and we're treating that air as it comes through. So not only is the air cooled, but it's mixed with fresh outdoor air. It's filtered. Both the outdoor air is filtered with a MERV 13 filter. The indoor air is filtered with a MERV 6, which takes all those dust particulates out of the air. And then when we redistribute, we're distributing with a single source fan, so to speak, so that each and every room had a prescribed amount of air volume in that space. So, which is important because historically with air conditioning and whatnot, you have to balance all the loads throughout every single room with devices, if you will. With the OASYS system, we can literally put defined air values in each space of the room, going from the far sides, allowing that air to move through the house and then flush all that air back to that air handler room, where once again, it's filtered, purified, conditioned, tempered, dehumidified, and then sent back out.
So when we were doing design, the Panasonic engineering team, along with the building performance designer, really spent a lot of time looking at the house plans, the volume of the rooms, and as you said, kind of really designing each individual room to receive a certain airflow, right?
Right.
They looked at how many CFM does each room need based on the volume, the windows, the exposure of the house, right? One thing that you didn't mention that we used a lot of in this house are the Panasonic Whisper Air repair units. And I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up from our view here, but there's one in the ceiling right behind us in the kitchen. There's another one in the dining room, the bedroom. So those are units that I installed in my personal house that you guys shared with me. And I found it really made a difference. And my family is, kind of our allergies,
right.
Helps with mold sensitivities, things like that. So the Whisper Air repair is also kind of a big part of the OASYS concept, right?
Right. So it's not just the Whisper Air repair. The Whisper Air repair is that which we put in that local space. And then, but also in the air handler room in our ductless heat pump heads, we have the Nanoe X technology, which also puts out that hydroxyl radical, which is what the Whisper Air is doing. It's producing a hydroxyl radical. The hydroxyl radical is going out and looking for other hydrogen molecules to coalesce with or to adhere to. They're attracted, they're different polarities, so they'll attract to one another too. And it's like a static shock to whatever that hydrogen molecule, which is typically attached to a oxygen molecule. And now I have water vapor. So it hits that water vapor, gives that static shock. Anything bacterial or viral or whatever within that water molecule then becomes neutralized or null. And now it's just evacuated out with the airflow that's occurring throughout the house.
Yeah. I was really happy when we got our HERS score back when the project finished up. I think we were like a -3 on our HERS score. Now of course, that's taking the solar into account, right? So we do have the Panasonic Evervolt solar and battery system in use here in the house. But even without the Evervolt system, I think we were still around, it was a 30 something, right?
30 something, yeah.
So a 30 something HERS score is a really good HERS score, right?
It's a really good HERS score. And honestly, so as a builder, you have to build a house and you have to manage the transaction cost of the house to sell the house. But to a home buyer, we're looking at a couple of other different things, right? What does it cost to run this house per month? What does it cost to live in the house, which is different from running the house, because the running is just managing your mechanicals and whatnot. I mean, but living in the house is if you have kids who have compromised breathing issues or parents or family members, whatever. All of those things can be mitigated by having fresh, clean air in the house and having that consistent temperature, having all of that directed towards the occupants is what really makes this house a great, great value.
Yeah, I think one of the what stands out to me as a builder, having gone through the process of building this, is that I feel like OASYS is not just an AC system. It's about kind of creating this whole home environment between the air conditioning and heating, the dehumidification, the fresh air, integrating the solar system. We're creating this whole home environment. With OASYS, and to me, that's the radically new idea here.
Right, the perfect place to live, the safe space, if you will, or the just this life arc, we kind of call it from time to time, of creating a space where when the weather's bad outside or the air quality is bad outside. Here in Houston, as we've talked about, Houston has some of the highest PM 2.5 air levels outside. Where do you go if that's the case and you're compromised? Well, in our case, we can come to this house because literally we're filtering that out. We're purifying that PM 2.5. And now the bulk of these trigger mechanisms are gone for the occupants of this house. And the other component of this is the system is not that expensive. The reality is the system will be at or below a typical high-performance heating and cooling system. So for cost-wise, I should say. So it hits on all cylinders, right? I believe it's going to cost less, it's going to perform better, it's going to cost less to run over the course of time. It's easy to maintenance because really you change 3 filters. There's a supply air, an exhaust air, and a return air. Change 3 filters, that's your maintenance. Yep. And I can tell you that, in Japan, Panasonic has been doing this system for 20 plus years. We sell a ton of these processes in Japan because it's the old keep it simple, stupid, right? We're going to move air. We're not going to, there's no noise, right? I mean, the typical air handler unit kicking on and off is about 55 to 60 decibels if you buy a good one.
Right.
There's none of that here. There's no whistling of air, even though we're moving a really remarkable amount of air throughout the house at any given time. Mm-hmm. And typically there's no buildup of any carbon dioxide, PM 2.5, cooking smells because of that airflow continuously moving and moving relatively quickly. So I think it's just really a great application.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We're here getting ready to host an open house event and tours, hopefully some builders and architects through the house to check out OASYS. And Panasonic's been a great partner for us over the last couple of years as we go through this process. And I hope that other builders, architects, designers, home performance people will reach out to you guys and talk to you about OASYS. Yeah. And I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, I am too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Curtis.